Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of First Look. Now, if you're not familiar with this series, this is me taking a look at games that are still work in progress or are in early draft. And today I got my hands on something new, something exciting, hot little item here from Corvus Belli. It's Warcrow Adventures, their new Dungeon Explorer game, which I think launched today on Kickstarter, so you can check it out for pre-order. There'll be a lot more details probably than what I have in front of me right now. I'm recording this in August. So I got an early copy of the demo set for this game. This was also available to check out at Gen Con 2022. So if you're watching this way in the future, wondering why it looks so different, this is a preliminary draft copy. This is not the final version. This is not the retail copy. This is not what's going to show up in stores or available for those that obviously back the crowdfund. But it was for us to check out, for me to be able to check out a demo, which combines what's in this box with an app and lets me sort of play through a first adventure. So I'm excited to crack it open. Let's have a look at what's inside. Remember, these are all early models, early components. We're getting a first taste of this. So that's called First Look, not Let's Play. We'll do a Let's Play in the future. So it's not gonna be painted. It's gonna be what's in this box. So let's check it out and run through our first adventure of Warcrow Adventures from Corvus Belli. All right, so here we are all set up to play through a demo of Warcrow Adventures. So things I needed to play the demo and what came in the demo box. This is just sort of a single encounter. The adventure is going to go on to give me a taste of the game. I was provided with some hero miniatures. We have Derek Wildling, an elf archer or ranger. Nera, a mage. We have Ludvine, who's sort of the priest, the healer. And then Zoka, who's a dwarf warrior. And these make up the initial party. Of course, some sort of classic hero tropes in the box here to play with. They each have their initial equipment cards. There's a stack of additional treasure cards they could find during the mission. And they have their sort of other assets they require, like their initiative tokens, which have an active and flipped side. Their personal tokens. We have taunt tokens here for Zoka. Sorry, these are the taunt tokens out here. These are Hunter's Mark tokens for Derek. Zaya has they're called Norlin. They're like little magical energy balls right here. And then you have your aura, which Ludvine has, that allows her to affect other heroes in range. Some have ability cards. So there's 2 ability cards that kind of give you access to extra things you can do during the turn. You have your initial ones here. Ambusher and Double Target for Derek. You have Where Do You Think You're Going and Wall, some defensive stuff for Zoka. Ludvine has Purifying Smite, which makes her better at fighting, but also has a flip side too that you can flip to make her Healy, and then Mercy of Celis, which is a rotate, and then you can remove damage from people, sort of like Healy card. And then you got a Norlin Explosion, allows Nera to blow up her little magical ball tokens. An Academic Discipline that you can fill in with an energy cube to make you better at casting spells during the course of the turn. So these are kind of all the player assets that came in the demo. You have your initiative board, which I think is really clever actually, and I'll go through and we actually start the turn sequence. Attack and defense dice. These will be familiar to anyone that played Aristea. They're kind of the proprietary Corvus Belli sort of face-to-face dice roll system for their board games. And they're graded good through weakest, from strongest to weakest. So darker colors are stronger, lighter colors are weaker for the attack dice, so red through yellow. And you go the opposite here, so green, blue, and then black finally. There's no color grading thing for the defense dice, but green is the strongest, blue is the middle, and black the weakest. We got some adventure sort of squares here, some board tiles to go into, which we'll explore during the course of our adventure. We got some baddie miniatures. We have the Marked, who are sort of living monster-y people. They're very kind of Paul Bonner inspired, it looks like, bad guy wise. Husks, they're sort of zombie people, and then the Hipleached monster. It's kind of like a Cthulhu beast. It kind of reminds me of a Hound of Tindalos looks wise. It has all mouth and then weird lashing tails and stuff. And it's sort of the boss monster for this game. We have some Taint or Stain, which is sort of the influence of dark magic on people, almost like a chaos energy. Damage tokens, treasure tokens. These are all board interactive tokens. So on entryway, treasure chests. We have event and items, points of interest tokens, and then, sorry, this is the event token over here. And then status tokens, which allow us to track different effects during the course of the game. Frightened right here. We have stunned, which is the swirly, which makes you downgrade your attack dice. Slowed and then focused. You can take a focus action to upgrade your dice. some printable assets too. Copy of the beta rulebook, the ability guide. So all of the symbols on these character cards all trigger different actions, and as you do your activations over the course of the turn and spend your energy, you're basically unlocking different buffs. So different ways your guys can act. There's like 6 core actions they can all do, including their movement. Sorry, not including their movement. A lot like in Aristea, and then the other actions can kind of be stylized by where you put your energy on the board. From the rulebook, we have our app, and I'm an iOS guy, so I had to use my Chromebook to actually do this. Luckily I do own a Chromebook, so I can use the Google Play Store. But this is the Warcrow Adventures app. Basically it allows you to run this with a DM, and it creates a fog of war for running your adventures. The full version of the game will apparently have like you can save your campaign, you can save games in progress, and like put them up and put them back down, like save where everything is, and your campaign will all be tracked through here. So no pen and papering, no having to like baggy all of your stuff. You just get your initial equipment, you lay it all out for your characters, and then you just go like this and go play mission, and it tells you what to do. So we're going to start playing mission, and I'll get the table set up. So the story is Lost Trace, a cry in the night, one that no one heard or pretended not to hear. There are cruel people in this world, heartless people, but who would not shy away from ripping an innocent child from the embrace of its family? But alas, that's the way the two moons travels in the skies. Or is it? A child was abducted during the night after a violent squabble that left a corpse in the streets, but no traces, tracks, or clues that might point towards the perpetrators. Although the child's family is heartbroken, the lack of solid evidence means that there's little to no, nothing that local authorities can do. There is, however, a witness who claims to have caught a glimpse of the kidnappers through their window. I saw monsters, they babbled, as shaking from head to toe and crying in fear. Monsters. Lacking in both ideas and manpower, the council set out a call for adventurers who might investigate this heinous crime, offering a reward for the child's return. It seems you're the only party willing to answer the call. With only scant details from the local guards, you decide the best course of action is to study the scene of the crime and maybe find evidence that the authorities, I think the translating may get better when this is in full version, may have missed. Upon arrival, you will find a lone member of the Hawthorne Point Guard on watch, wearing a bleary-eyed expression of fatigue. No one has yet been able to remove the body. The corpse lies nearby, and a trail of blood smearing the cobbles beside it. So what are we going to do? So continue. So this has our now set up. So instructions. So first we take tile 103 and we put it down. So that's this tile right here. I'm going to remove all the other tiles. And this is our starting tile right here. So we put this guy down, and this is what we walk into at the beginning of the adventure. Next, I do like doing this on my Chromebook because I can just hit space for next, or I was able to last time. Place tile 403 is indicated, so the next tile goes down. You can see it links up, it looks like the trail here. So let's move this back, give us some more room. Like that. And then next, place the marker of the Hawthorne Point Guard as indicated. So there's a point of interest with the guard. He's here on the trail watching everything. Place the marker of fight remains as indicated. So marker number 2, this point of interest, you can see it's like a little eyeball, is sitting over here. And then place the marker of chest 1 as indicated over here. So there's a chest, there's some point of interest in this pile of rubble. Or it looks like maybe a vendor's tent. And then deploy all the characters in tile 103 in the spaces adjacent to the fountain. Around here. Well, point 1 is on this tile, point 2 is over here, so I feel like we're going to travel this direction. So let's put the tank up front. That makes sense. The healer can hang out over here. The bow and arrow guy can hang out next to the treasure. And then the wizard will be in the rear with the gear, as is all adventurers' tradition. And that looks like it. So now we're playing the game, and that means we have to jump back to the rule book. So playing a game is divided into rounds. There's either rounds when enemies are on the table, in which case you're going to use the initiative board over here, and rounds when enemies aren't on the table, in which case everybody can move to any square in a tile or adjacent tile, and then take one action. Now, actions normally in a combat situation are dictated by your number of power dice on here. So let's go through, and for the first turn, we're not going to worry about what any of this stuff does, the anatomy of a card. We're just going to start taking actions because we're in a non-combat situation, and nothing that really is on here is going to matter except for these 6 stats, which are sort of our D&D abilities. You're allowed to place energy cubes. They all go onto our cards, and then we can't use any of our abilities and anything like that anyway. So the only things that matter are sort of like our RPG stats, and I'll go through those right now. So we have our strength, it's the fist. We have our agility. We have our intelligence. We have our, I think that's wisdom? Perception is what that one's called. Then our charisma, and then finally our willpower. So you can see here, it's all done in dice. So you're trying to roll numbers of successes. The dice themselves have successes, they have triggers, and then they have a hollow trigger and a hollow success. Hollow triggers and hollow successes usually have to be exceptional to make them into successes. So like if you are exceptionally good at something, you have a little crown in your ability, that means that this character counts hollows as successes when they roll those dice. So for his intelligence, he's going to do any of the dice that roll those as also bonuses. So it kind of like semi-upgrades your dice when you're rolling them. So you can see here, Naira, not very strong, uses a yellow dice for successes there. Not that fast, a yellow plus an orange. Red, yellow, yellow for intelligence, super smart, plus it has the crown, which means it's their peak stat. And their peak stat basically allows them to count those hollows. And then average for everything else, yellows for perception, yellow and orange for charisma, and then willpower is 2 oranges. So pretty good at willpower, actually. Opposite of that, of course, would be Zoka. So Zoka's got triple orange for strength, and it's their preferred stat. Double yellow for agility, just a pure orange for intelligence, so not terrible, but not great. And then orange yellow for perception, yellow yellow for charisma, not the most charming, and double orange for willpower. Side peak stat here is charisma, actually. It's charisma. Double orange for charisma, red for perception, which means no failure state and lots of successes, and I think no hollows either. I know there's one hollow, but because it's their preferred stat, it's not a hollow. Oh, no, it's not actually for perception, never mind. Double orange for strength, double yellow for agility, and yellow orange for their intelligence. So agility obviously high for the elf here, double orange yellow with its preferred stat, so it counts the hollows. And then you have strength orange yellow, yellow yellow for intelligence. Perception is double orange yellow for charisma. I guess the term for elves is that they are... what's the term? Aloof. Is another charismatic, and then willpower is orange yellow. It's kind of like RPG state. We basically just get to go in any order we want, but in other terms, or other sort of situations, we have to go by our initiative, lowest to highest, and that's the other core stats up here. You also have your movement points. You also have your energy, so that's how many energy cubes you generate each turn. Your innate defense, which you would use when being attacked. Your magic resistance, and then your health pool. And that's really the core stats outside of their actual like action boards. Everyone has an innate ability too. This guy upgrades dice for friends who are adjacent to them when they get attacked. So basically your lowest dice becomes the next highest dice when you upgrade it. Likewise, when you downgrade, your highest dice becomes the next dice down. You can also lose dice if you're top. If you're all black, you would just lose a dice instead. He has accuracy. When he makes bow attacks, he can reroll a single die. Master Spellcaster. At the beginning of your activation, gain a dark energy cube, because he's playing with force he doesn't completely understand. And all your magical rolls gain the switch. If you roll any exclamation points, you get to add a success of your choice, basically. I like that his like one hand is kind of corrupted too, or it's like kind of like turning evil. It's got like dark spots on it where it holds the magical staff. I think that's like a cute little art trigger there. Ludwig has as a extra ability Harbinger of Solace. All your attack rolls gain the switch. If you roll exclamation point, heal a point of damage to a character in your aura, and that could include yourself. No monster on the board, so we're not using any of the monsters combat stuff, so we're just going to start taking actions. So we'll go first with, we're already adjacent to the guard. So let's talk to him. Let's click and see what happens. So we click on the guard, and we do what's called an interact action. This is one of the actions we can do each turn. You can interact, attack. You can't run during RPG sort of like movement, a non-bad guys on the table movement, because you're just allowed to go to any square anyway, just taking your time to do things. So you get one action, even though you normally get to make a number of actions equal to your action cube total. So we'll have Ludwig, and she's going to talk to the guard, so we click on it. Do you want to interact with the Hawthorn Point God Marker? Yes, I do. The Hawthorn Point guard rolls his eyes at you wearily. I can either bribe the guard using a gold coin, or charisma test, ask if you have any idea what may have happened. Well, I don't have any gold coins. Nobody's carrying a gold coin, so let's do a charisma test. All right, so I had to make a charisma roll. Luckily, I used her charisma, because I figured talking was going to be a point where I'd want to do that. So it's going to be 2 orange dice, and it's her preferred stat, so she gets to count the hollows. So roll. I got 1 success, and then triggers. Now, it's not an attack roll, so it wouldn't actually do her trigger here, but I do get 1 success. So it asks me how many I got, so I click here, I put 1, and then I check to see what the result is. Dialogue. The guard tells you some rumors about the abduction of children hereabouts, but none seem to make any sense. Declaring himself too tired for this fool's errand, he eventually leaves you to his investigation. So if I got more or better rolls there, I might have gotten more out of that, but in this case, that's all I got. Mark a clue space in the mission log. So I guess in the full like mission campaign system, I'd get a clue for whatever that means. And remove the Hawthorne Point guard marker. So that's done. So that little RPG part is finished. All right, well, next up, we have the elf. I think he's just going to go stand over here. And I mean, it's a lock, which means we can probably pick it. So let's see what's in the treasure chest. So interact and take an interact action with that. Do you want to interact with the chest marker? I do. Dialogue. This abandoned chest is secured with a rusty padlock. Ooh, maybe I should use the dwarf. And hit it. Now I have a choice there. So I could agility, I could pick the lock, or strength, I could break the lock. Well, let's go agility, because that's the preferred side of the elf. Don't worry, we can pick a lock. Orange, orange, yellow. And it's preferred stats, so we can count hollows as successes. And we got 2 successes and a switch. So let's just put on a 2 and see what happens. And hopefully it doesn't suck. Dialogue. You open the padlock effortlessly. The elf has a smug look on his face. All right, so next up from that, you obtained the object gold coin. Ah, if I'd done this out of order, I could have probably bribed the guard. That probably would have been even easier. Well, let's see what the gold coin is. So I go through my treasure pile, and there's a gold coin. So I give that to Derek. And some gold. That's always handy to have. I've seen bandages. Oh, that's cool. So you can use the card. You can also use this gold card to create items in the Hawthorne phase, when you go back to town, basically, at the end of it. Those aren't used in the demo, apparently. There's a note in the rulebook that that's not going to be in the demo, but it will be used in the full game. So also some bandages. It's an action, heal up to 2 damage from the adjacent character. Discard this card. So if Levine dies, then Derek can be my backup healer. And then remove the chest number 1. So it's going to go away. Next up, we're back to choosing our actions. Okay, so sorry, I should be flipping these as I go. So Lidvine's gone and Derek's gone now. So I have actions remaining for Zoka and for Naira. Let's go with Zoka. This is what you do. You lead the way. So you're going to move to any square and adjacent tile. Let's move you here. And then you can interact with whatever this is, the crime scene. Do you want to interact with the fight remains marker? Why, yes, I do. The remains left by the squabble are still in the street. The nauseating stench of dead flesh greets you as you get closer. Hitting thing here. Now, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Perception test. Investigate the remains. Oh, good thing I sent my oh, he's not bad. It's orange yellow. I sent my fighter to go investigate. I got 2 and a switch. All right, let's see what happens. Investigate this so good. So we got 2 successes, and it says the corpse is bent and twisted into an unnatural position, and the stench turns your stomach as you approach. The flesh is covered with gashes, and some bones seem to have been removed and used to pin the body to the ground. Oh my god, this is some Hellraiser stuff going on here. No tracks can be seen nearby, just a smear of blood across the wall as if the body had been scraped across the bricks before being embedded into the ground. Indeed, this is a grim sight. Instructions, mark a clue space. So I have 2 clue spaces now in the mission log. And then, who's playing their turn? Zoka is. Okay. Instructions, remove the fight remains. And you realize you're completely alone. The street is silent, save for a gust of wind that whistles through the alleyways. The long shadows cast by the sun lengthen, unnaturally so, shifting too quickly for your liking. A moment later, there are no longer shadows at all. Dark, slouched forms stand before you, silent and menacing. One of them points a gnarled finger at you, and then as one, they shamble forward. It's Deadites! Place tile 105. Okay, so that's this tile. Tile 105, and it's going to be with, looks like the shanty at the back there, and we line up the streets. Alright. That's placed. Place the marker of the beggar, as indicated. It's a new point of interest marker. He's going to go right there. Then place the marker of chest 2, as indicated. Looks like this stall had some stuff in it. And the red lines can't be moved through. They're impassable, so I can't move through the actual, like, thing there. And then place the marker closed door as indicated. Okay, so there's a doorway. There must be a building here that I can't see. Then deploy 1 marked unit in space C of tile 403 or adjacent. So space C of tile 403. So 403 is... That's 103, that's 403. So space C is right here. So marked unit means all the total number on the card. So there's 2 marked here. So these 2 guys are going to be on space C or adjacent. So C or adjacent. So they're fighting Zoka. And they just arrived right there. Good job, everybody. Deploy 1 husks unit in space D of tile 103 or adjacent. Oh no, that's right here. All right, so here or adjacent. And that's it. Okay, so we're in combat now. So what that means is that their turn is over. So I'm going to lose my activation with Naya because I can't do anything. I can't take a there's no models on the table turn. And we start a combat. So we mark round 1 is done. And then we have to start a combat round. So combat rounds go like this. It uses this little wheel, which I actually think is kind of ingenious. This is a neat way of tracking initiatives. So the first thing you do is you take the units involved in the melee that are bad guys. Now their cards have almost the same information, minus the RPG stuff. So initiative, their movement points they get per turn, their health, the damage they can take, their defense and armor for when they get attacked, and their magic resistance. So the marked are going to be initiative 4. So you place them on the 4 tile face up. Then the husks are initiative 5, so you place them on the 5 initiative point face up. Then you put all your heroes down on their initiative tile face up in any order you want. So I'm going to go initiative 3, there's only one of them. Initiative 4, I have both Ludvine and Naira, and they're also face up, so I can do them in any order I want. I think I probably want the healer going last, so we'll have the mage go first. And that's why the monsters at the bottom, they're going to act after the party does. In each initiative band, basically, because they go on the bottom of the stack. And then your initiative 5 dwarf, because of course you are. You're going before the husks, but after everybody else. Our round goes until we clip back around this line right here. So the first round, we go to position 1, initiative 1, nobody's going. Initiative 2, nobody's going. Initiative 3, now Derek's going. So first thing we would do is we would have all of our initial equipment on front side, and we would regenerate all of our power points if they're sitting on an ability card, which they're not, and now we get to start taking actions. Now, when you take an action, you place a power cube, an energy cube, on your action board, and if it has no trigger, you just complete the action you want. So you could attack, you could interact, you can still interact with these things during a combat if you want. You could use an item, like it's an action, use my bandage, I could use it on somebody. I could do a magic attack, I could do a regular attack, which is either ranged or melee, like there's no differentiation between like firing a bow and hitting with a sword and shield. So I could use my bow here, which has an attack action of 2 yellow dice, and that's it. So you can either use your abilities if they require actions or action has to be placed on them, and you activate a number of times effectively based on this. Now you also generate a number of movement points for the turn equal to your movement stat. Now I would recommend doing this because I did this for Theristea. I always grabbed a big D6 and spent my movement points because you can interrupt your movement at any point that you want in order to like do an action. So I could like spend a point, do an attack, spend another point and move, do an attack, and like shift around. Your movement is very dynamic and isn't part of your action pool. So I like to be able to hang out with these. Now he has an ability called Ambusher. At the beginning of your activation, if you're not no enemies within range 1 or 2, you flip this card. So I'm going to flip the card, and this is our first activation, and the activations basically keep going until the combat ends. They're just going to keep revolving, and every time we hit that line, a new round starts. Guys will displace at the end of every activation. So, for instance, if I put an action on here, I actually go up an initiative band. It means I slow down a little bit. But then my later actions, if I want to chain them into this, have additional effects. So this pushes me up one on the initiative band when I place it to do an action like attack or interact or something like that. But then the next time I do an action, I can hit this one, which is you can upgrade or downgrade 1 dice from your roll. So if I'm doing 3 actions, I could do that. And then if I get to here, I can add these to my roll. So I get 2 automatic like switches on my roll for my next action if I do it that way. So it slows me down a little bit. I'm not acting as fast, and I'll probably go later next turn, but I can build up my actions. So think of them kind of like chain combos in like a Street Fighter style game. You're doing your actions in such a way that it adds additional effects. Now the one I like is this one, where I get to start with a displace. So first things first, I flip this card because I'm not within 2. I have the ambush rule. I jump out of nowhere. I have stealth attack. When you attack, modify 1 dice from your attack roll at the end of your activation, flip this card back. So as long as I start every activation outside of 1 or 2 of the enemy, this guy gets the ambusher roll because he's striking from the shadows basically, and it means he can upgrade, he can modify a die. So I can modify them up or down. It's nice. It's not fixed. But I'm going to do that right now. So Zoka's in trouble, but more in trouble it looks like is the wizard. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my first energy cube here. Now that's a trigger for a displacement. A displace is just move a tile. So I'm going to move a tile here to make sure I can see you. Now line of sight is from any point, a vertice that I have to any 2 vertices or 1 vertice on my my opponents. And if no more than 2 vertices are blocked, then I have line of sight. So I can see both these guys nice and clear. I got my displacement off. and I'll make a bow attack. So the bow attack, we generate our pools now, and it's opposed in what's called a face-to-face roll. The face roll is just a fancy way of saying you add up successes and blocks, and the net result is either doing damage or not doing damage. So for Derek here, his bow is 2 yellow dice, which he's going to roll. Now, because he has the accuracy from his ambush, he gets to upgrade 1 die to an orange. So it goes up a color band, basically, when he upgrades it. Attacking the husk, they have no defense and no armor. They just stand there and take it. So there is no them blocking this whatsoever. If I'd been shooting at a marked, however, they would at least roll 1 black dice and try and reduce the successes that many levels. So let's see what happens. If I get any success, I'm going to do some damage here. I got 1 success, which is nice, which is a point of damage. I got a switch and a hollow switch. Now, because of my accuracy, though, because this did no damage, I could re-roll one of these rolls because it's a bow attack. There we go. So I got 2 damage and 2 switches. I don't currently have any switches because I haven't put out my tokens yet. That's my next chained attack here, but I will do 2 damage. So he can take 4. I did actually mark these 1 and 2. I attack number 2, so 2 is going to take 2 little blood drops. And if he takes 2 more, he'll be dead, because if you take damage equal to your stat, then you're gone. All right, so spending my next energy cube, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to place this. So now, the triggers happen before you complete your action when you place your energy cube down. This is a Hunter's Mark. I can put a Hunter's Mark on any enemy model within 2 to 5. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put it on the guy I haven't attacked yet, because that's going to let me trigger my ability Double Target. Now, Double Target is a, if I complete an attack, I can then make a free attack against a unit that has a Hunter's Mark on it that's also in range and line of sight, but it can't be the same guy. So I'm still ambushing. Modify one of your attack rolls at the end of your activation. Flip this card. So I still get to roll an orange and a yellow. They still have no defense, so let's see if I hit. I do 1 damage and 2 switches. I'm gonna reroll this dice, because if I get 1 more damage, I'll just straight up kill him. Nope, nothing. So he takes 1 more and goes to 3. So I can take these off and put a 3 down instead. But that means I get to trigger my double target. When you attack at the end of your resolution, rotate this card. And then I get to attack another enemy within range last side. But while it's rotated, I can't do it again. Now, because this guy has a Hunter's Mark, I get a bonus. My trigger of if I get 2 switches, I can then add an extra damage to my roll. So switches become extra damage for me here. There we go. So that's going to be 2 points of damage. So I got 2 successes, and I got 2 switches, which will make it 3. So now both of them have 3 damage on them. My second action resolved. So now my third action, I'm going to go again, and I'm basically just going to try to kill. I get to place another Hunter's Mark. Some within 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could put a Hunter's Mark over there for later. I think that's what I'll do. Now this vertice can see this vertice and this vertice, I think. There's no obstructed line. Let me just double check this other one here. Yep. Oh no, that one doesn't go through there, but I can see to this one. So I can see 1 vertice. There's not 2 blocked vertices. That means I can see that guy. So I can Hunter's Mark. And then I'll try and snap a shot off at, I don't know. They're both equally damaged. Doesn't really matter. The guy without a Hunter's Mark. So it's the same thing. I'm still upgrading as I'm ambushing. And I get 2 damage, and my switch is off, and that'll just kill this guy. 2 is dead. I guess I could have also shot that guy, because I could see him. I was within 5. And he's Hunter's Marked, which would have been nice. 3 damage to him, which would have been cool. But I didn't, so I just killed one of the husks instead, and that guy gets removed from the table. Activation over, which means we flip Derek's card, and his initiative of 3 is where we place him now on the activation board. So he goes 1, 2, 3 more up, and he sits there activated. It's activated, when we've done a whole round basically of everybody going, then we reset the round number and we flip everybody back over in their new positions and start a new turn. So let's go to here. Narya on top. Now Narya's got a couple of cool abilities here. There's the Academic Discipline. Before making the roll to cast a spell, I can place an action dice there. I can modify dice for my roll, so I can upgrade my ability to do damage. I don't think I need to do that. I gotta do 1 damage here. So I just want to do, I forgot, I can also move him. I didn't use any of his movement points. I'm gonna move 1, 2, 3, 4, and just sit here, because I can displace later. 3 movement points. This is all done. I'm just gonna start by casting a spell. It's only range 2 to 3, so we're gonna try and blast this last guy. Now I do have a switch. I automatically can, like, for 1 switch, add up damage to my damage pool. So as long as I get 1, like, thing here, basically 1, point, I'll be able to do this. So I'm going to, and this is a special thing. I can only activate this one with a dark energy. So I'm going to do that, actually. I'm going to activate this one and just make an attack. So I'll attack. I will hit with my 2 yellow, it's 2 yellow dice, my staff, and try and blast this guy. He's within 2 to 3. So I do a damage, plus I get my switch for 2 damage. He's got 3 on him already, so he blasts that husk to pieces. I get my Hunter's Mark back because now he's dead. Might as well move. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 with my movement points, and that puts this guy within 3. I'm going to place it. I'm actually going to place a point here on Academic Discipline to upgrade a die, and then I'm going to make my action here, which will upgrade another die. So instead of doing 2 yellow, I get to, or 2, yeah, because I upgrade the lowest and then I upgrade the lowest again, which means I get 2 orange instead of 2 yellow. So I'm going to channel a whole bunch here and see if I can blast that marked. So all hollow, unfortunately. No, that sucks. Okay, so I did get my switch though. I can add 1 damage to it, but oh no, in hollows, add damage to your roll and then remove 1 thing. So I do 2 damage here because you only get each switch once. So the hollow with my staff actually adds a damage to my roll and then remove a stain from yourself. I don't have any stain on myself. And I do 1 for my switch of add 1 or the other. So I get to do 2 damage to that guy. That mark takes 2. That's mark number 1. All 3 of my action cubes down now for Nayra. So Nayra is going to be initiative 4. So it gets placed 1, 2, 3, 4 ahead and flipped. We're on to Ludvine. She's going to go do something. So she generates her movement points of 3 as well. She needs to get in the war to do anything though. So there's really not a lot for her to do this turn. You don't have to spend your energy cubes if you don't want to. And the range of her staff is 1 to 1. I don't have any abilities here that displace me either. What I do though is go in. Oh no, this is gone. I interacted with the climber scene already. That shouldn't be there. So she can just move. 1, 2, 3. Go protect the wizard maybe. The first one, she's gonna go to here and she's gonna run. That allows her to move an extra equal to her movement points amount. So she's gonna go 1, 2, 3 again over to here. Then she's gonna go over here and generate an aura. That means when her triggers go off later on, the range of them will get bigger. And she'll make an attack. Now she has Purifying Smite. When you attack with your mace, you can gain the switches 2 switches to inflicted extra damage, and Hollow Switch inflict 2 extra damage to your target, but gain a stain. So we'll do that. And she also has Hollow Switch add damage to your damage roll and heal a character within your aura. So let's do that. Let's go for 2 yellows to make an attack. And she just gets all these extra switches. So she's mostly hitting off switches here, not off strikes, because these are low dice. But we do a hollow damage, a damage, and then 2 switches. So with 2 switches, we can do inflict extra damage. We have no hollow switches, so this guy's just going to take 2. He's already got 2, which puts him to 4, and he dies. Mark goes back over here. She's got 1 action left, because she ran and then made an attack. She'll make another one, which will boost her aura again. Might as well take a swing at this guy. So it's the same thing. She's mostly looking to trigger off her switches. She gets a damage, and again, 2 switches, which means she can trigger Purifying Smite, so do extra damage, so she'll do 2 here. So, marked number 2, gains 2 damage. And she gets to go, and she goes, so she goes up to her initiative, which is 4, so she goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and flips. So we dealt with the husks, we dealt with almost all the marked, but there is still a marker alive here. So the first thing we have to do is go over to the computer and see what its behavior is going to be. So we killed the husks, we actually hit the sword here. Have you defeated this husk unit? Yep, they're gone. And then the marks, we click on their name instead, and we look up their behavior. So distance, they're at distance 1 to 2 different characters. The highest vitality value is who they're going to attack. So they're actually going to attack Zoka, because he has vitality 6, and she has a vitality of 4 on Ludvine. Is to make an attack, and then I get to add 1 to their attack roll, because they're basically focused attacking me. So attacking into him. So now his attack value for the marked is an auto success plus an auto success plus an orange die. Just rolling this and adding 2 successes. Now when you defend, you're going to roll your defense plus your armor. So armor on him is blue, and then his defense is black. So he's going to roll blue, black, and this will create opportunities to do damage as well, actually. Double switch to add an extra shield to his roll with wall. And then I can also, when an adjacent unit, taunted unit activates, he's not taunted unfortunately, rotate this card, you become the target of every attack. So you can actually do damage back with your switches sometimes when you're defending. So let's see what the roll is for the hits. It's going to be 3 total damage, and then he gets a double switch, which triggers his wall ability to add 1, but he's going to take 2 damage. Zoka takes 2 damage out of his 6 but is still alive. Second action for distance 1, so that is the marked all done. Its initiative is 4, so it's also going to advance 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see it ends up on top and flipped, so when you start the new round, it's at the bottom when you flip everything over, which I think is really clever, actually. So then Zoka gets to go. He's got his 3 actions. He's kind of damaged, but he's mad now. He's just going to swing on that guy. His attack is going to be its armor plus his axe and shield. So axe and shield is blue and orange. And then his armor is going to be blue on top of that. He doesn't get his defense when he makes an attack. So he ends up with blue, blue, orange. I think I actually forgot to roll the light armor for this guy. You don't add armor, you actually add your spellcasting and magic attack. I forgot about that as well. Yeah, so the spellcasting ability on the staff attack would have done extra blocks. If they'd done damage back to us, we wouldn't have necessarily taken it. So we add our armor dice. You add your armor dice and your weapon attack, not just your weapon attack. He would have had extra black dice in all of his attack rolls in case damage came back, and he would have had the blue dice. And she would have had the black dice from her light armor. So it's blue, but I never remembered that the first time through because this guy's dependent on using his armor to do damage, which is funny because he does armor triggers to add 2 to his damage roll. So the defense on that marked is just a black dice. It has no armor, so it's going to defend 2 switches, and its 2 switches don't do anything, I don't think. Nope. Only on its attacks. And Zoka does a damage plus 2 shields and a hit, and that activates his switch to add 2 extra damage and remove a shield. So he does this, but ends up doing 3 damage total. It's got 2 left, so it's going to die. And so that ends the round. So when we go to Zoka's initiative, he could actually keep moving and stuff too if he wanted to end his turn, because there's enemies still on the board. So he could go like walk around, using his movement of 3, which he will, go 1, 2, 3, and then he still has an action. He could run, maybe go stand by the door, 1, 2. Then use his once per called enemy company 17, reduce your initiative value by 1 until the end of your activation. So he only goes up by 4. So you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of 5 and flip, and the husks are dead, and that ends the round anyway, and there's no models on the table. This guy gets slain. So we mark him as dead. Mark is marked. Have you defeated this unit? Yes. And now we're on to round 3, and everybody's off the table. So let's travel around here and see what we can do in a new turn when there's no enemies on the table. We take some actions. Away, we put all of our initiative markers back with the characters because we're into basically like an RPG set now. And we'll start walking around. And we'll just start with the elf again because, you know, he's the fastest. We'll just maintain that order for even our sort of our non-combat scenario stuff. So he'll just place himself, I guess, in any square adjacent. So it'd have to be this one because I didn't actually move into the next tile. And be done. You can't really do any actions. You can't run during a RPG set. The mage go. He'll place himself over here. And then maybe interact with the chest. Let's see what we find. Yes, I do. This straight chest is made out of mahogany, studded with metal rivets. The lock does not look like it can easily be opened. I could pick the lock or break the lock. Let's try and pick it. His strength is garbage. So agility test, throw the dice and count the number of successes. So it's not my best one, but I do get a yellow and an orange. And let's see what we get. We get 2, 1, because that was a hollow one. So checking. You clumsy attempts to open the lock activate a hidden mechanism. A plume of abrasive yellow dust explodes from the lock. You clasp your hands as your face to your face as you feel the skin burn. When the pain finally subsides, you find the contents of the chest have been reduced to useless. Ah, I blew up the chest. I suffer a wound. Whoopsie. Whatever's inside is disintegrated, and I blew up the chest. Little note: chests should be either agile or strong people, not just smart folks. Let's try again. Remove the marker chest 2. And new action. All right, so we've gone here. We've gone here. We're gonna go with, I guess, Zoka. I think what we're actually gonna do is we're gonna walk him next to the elf. We're gonna trade equipment. I want them bandages, because next turn I could use the bandages. And that's Lidvine's turn. I don't think I want her going near the door by herself. Yeah, Her charisma's high, though. Let's go talk to somebody. You know, let's wait until everyone's on the board tile. Let's just not do that. Let's just end the turn. I feel like having everybody not having activated, that's a terrible idea, and having her go last, because things could explode. And I kind of want to break in that door first, too. So we flip everything. All the initiative comes back. I also feel like it was bad that I didn't have a coin when I interacted over here, because I could have bribed. So I think I'm going to go with Derek first, because this is a person. This is a beggar. I'm going to go Derek. He's going to walk over here. And he's going to do an equipment exchange, an equip, and he's going to give Ludvine, who has the highest charisma, with the thing, the gold coin. Just in case I need to bribe somebody again, that feels like a good action. I'm going to go with Zoka, and he's going to move next to the door. But he's going to use the bandages as his action for first aid to heal. Get rid of those 2 damage. Get rid of my consumable by doing that. Then I'm going to go with Naira. And we're just going to get away from the world and stand over here. Because it feels like things could explode and go badly. And then finally Ludvine's going to interact. And we'll see what happens. And at least this way we're in all positions ready to do things. So yes, let's use our good charisma character. And do it. You approach the beggar, he looks up expectantly, if somewhat addled smile. You notice his face is burnt and scarred, making him look older than he really is. Dialogue. As you approach the beggar, he looks up expectantly. You could use a gold coin to give him alms or not give him alms. Well, there wasn't even talking in this one, but the bribery always came in as a good idea. Do you sure you want to use the gold coin? I sure do. Instruction. You lost the object gold coin. Okay. Dialogue. The beggar rewards generosity with a rotten-toothed smile. He beckons you close and whispers in here, come closer, come. You ain't heard this from me, but rumor has it them monsters that took the lad had horns. Remember, you ain't heard this from me. Mark the rumors space in the mission log. Okay. With a thunderous boom, the door behind you explodes into a myriad pieces and the building begins to crumble, debris toppling into the street. There's cries of alarm and the townsfolk flee in terror. Then comes another cry, a scream that no human throat could produce from the dust of the cloud, a smoking tendril shooting towards the beggar, arrow straight. It wraps around his ankle, yanking him upwards before dashing his skull violently against the wall. I gave him money and he died? The tendril sweeps the floor with the beggar's corpse, oh my god, finally throwing him upwards with such force that the body lands on a nearby roof, where it gets caught in the gutter. The tendril retreats and now you see its source. A large, unnatural creature steps from the rubble, its long, gnarled body terminating in a cluster of tail-like tendrils, twitching and writhing, dripping with scarlet ichor and hissing smoke. The thing's head is eyeless, its skull divided in twain by a huge maw, gnashing hungrily with 3 rows of razor-sharp teeth. Great! Remove the marker beggar. Yeah, because he's paste. And then remove the marker closed door. And place the corpse marker as indicated. Place the event marker in position 9 of the initiative track. Oh my god, so something's going to happen in initiative 9 step. Okay. Deploy 1 Kiplicht in the spaces closest to the special interaction marker, closed door. Well, the closed door got removed, so I guess it was here. So I think this guy takes up 4. He's a big boy, so I assume he takes up 4 spaces. I haven't actually read anything saying he does. So the combat encounter starts. So everybody gets their zone. He goes to 3. The Kiptreek is what? Initiative 3 as well. Oh god, it's going to go fast. So it goes on first, then it's going to be Derek. Well, Derek will actually go first, then it. Then it's going to be 4s, which will be Naira and Ludvine. So let's do Naira first. And then Ludvine. Poor Zoka's going in 5. He's going to get hammered on. I'm glad I healed him at least. This didn't go terribly wrong. I feel like it's still going to go terribly wrong. All right, so activation for Derek. I should have untapped this actually during one of the RPG turns, and this should also be flipped. So he gets to trigger Ambusher because he's outside of 2, and we flip that. Now the Kiplicht has a fear thing. The target of this attack must perform a willpower test with 2 successes required, and if they don't, they become frightened. Now, if you're frightened, you suck at doing everything. Trapped characters in range 1 to 2 gain no movement points at beginning of activation and cannot perform their run actions. You can never get away with this guy. Oh man, so it means everybody that's not the archer right now is stuck next to him. I'm glad that didn't happen, but unfortunately my mage is stuck right next to this guy. Frightened you can remove if you pass a willpower check, but it basically means you remove a dice from your attack and defense rolls, which is not great. And we're into first round. So initiative point 1 is where we start. Nothing happens. 2, nothing happens. 3, we go to Derek. So Derek gets to go, or Darak, and he's going to displace because he wants to be as far as this thing from. Yeah, I'll displace to here. So I'm still within 1, 2, 3, 4. But I'm going to keep my ambusher then, which means I can make my stealth attack. There's a gap here. I can actually see him, which is nice, because there's at least one vertice that I can see to. And then I get to throw my dice. So this is my displace done. I get to shoot with yellow, but I get to upgrade 1 die. Yellow, orange. Now the defense on the Kipreek is going to be black plus green. So black for armor, green for its innate defense. So let's see what it gets. 2 blocks and a switch. Switch hollow. The hollows don't do anything, which means, and the switches don't do anything right now because I haven't targeted him yet, so I'll just reroll the orange. Does nothing. Well, let's Hunter's Mark this guy, I guess. Or I could up my initiative, because it's not going to super matter. Now, if I get 1 Hunter's Mark out, it's probably important, so let's do that, because that's where I get to get my triggers against him. I'll shoot him again. I won't do anything, because it's just 1 guy, but I get at least 1 upgraded die here. And 2 damage plus a switch means 3 damage total. It blocks 1. That's not bad. Yep, and there's no switches that'll protect it, so it takes 2 total. It's 15 health. 3 initiative, 3 movement, and baller stats. Actually, it's better against magic attacks. Throwing magic attacks is probably a terrible idea. He should have a stain on him because he uses dark energy last turn too. I forgot about that. Every time I use in a combat that dark energy cube, I gain a stain marker. Which I also remove when I do my trigger over here. So it actually would have been gone at the end of the activation. I keep forgetting that when that goes down, it generates like chaos basically, which you have to take off in the RPG at the end or you start becoming evil. So second attack. Yeah. Third attack, we're just gonna do the same thing. And we'll just do this because there's no point in putting anything else down. So it's just upgraded again because of ambusher or stealth attack. 3 damage again. I can only do a switch once. You can't trigger your switch more than once. That's about as good as I could roll. His defense is he blocks 2. So take 1 more and go to 3. All done. So he goes up his 1, 2, 3 and flips, and then the Kipleak goes. So we have to see what its actual behavior is. It is definitely in range 1 of 2 characters. So its behavior is going to be 1 to 4. Highest vitality value. Well, that's going to be Zoka. And then it attacks, and then it attacks, and it adds extra damage to all of its attack rolls. At the end of its activation, the Kipleak advances its initiative token by 4 instead of 3. Okay, so it actually slows down a bit when it does this. Once it's in melee, it's not quite as fast, which is good. It means that the heroes will be going before it next turn. It's going to do an attack of 2 red dice, which is horrifying, with a switch that adds stunned, and the highest vitality character, which is going to be Zoka. So there's going to be a whole lot of punching right now. And that means 2 reds for its attack. It also adds its defense, or so its armor rather, which is a black die to the roll. And then Zoka has his defense plus armor. So defense is a black dice, armor is a blue dice. Zoka's going to get a switch, a hollow switch, and it's going to get a hit. And then a hollow does nothing for him, but he does get a switch, which will apply stunned. So he's going to gain a stun token, which means he loses a die or downgrades a die. And then the 1 damage has 1 added to it for 2. He blocks 1. And only hollow shields add for him. He only gets 1 of his 2 switches because the one's a hollow switch here. He gets no rerolls of any kind. That's it. Damage. Now he still has the highest health rate, which means the second attack will also go into him. So exact same roll. That's going to be 4. And he's already stunned. He can't be stunned again. He gets 1 block. The hollow block adds for him once. So he gets 2 blocks, which means he takes a 2nd damage. And only affects his attack rolls, not his defense rolls, so he didn't have to downgrade any of that stuff. And that's its activation done. So instead of advancing 3, it advances 4 on the initiative track. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and be done. Well, I gained no movement points for either of these guys because they were adjacent. I could have actually moved Derek up to 4, but I think, you know what, I'm just going to do that real fast. No one else is playing with me. There's no cheating here. I'm just going to move back 1 just to be, like, as far from this thing as possible. And then it's Zenea going. He's going to place his... This will speed up his initiative by 1, but then he could focus and unleash a thing, or I could just go over here and go... Yeah, I'll gain a stain because my hollows remove it, and I'll upgrade 1 of my dice. Then I will increase. Oh no, if I do this here, that square means stain does not remove. So I immediately advance my initiative 1, and stain does not get added when I place the die in that square. So I'll do that. Then I will use that to do a cast spell. I'll upgrade that first. So I'm doing this, plus my spell casting, which is blue. And then, unfortunately, the defense, it has blue magic resistance, plus its defense of green. So it's going to be that, which is double block against Hollow, which adds a damage, which is nice. And then it's Switch, which is 2 damage. And that's it. And Yoruba Stain, not that I have any. I triggered 2, but it blocked 2, so nothing actually gets hurt. Completely forgot the willpower tests for Zoka. He has to make 2 success willpower tests to become frightened. His willpower is double orange. So he has to succeed twice, because he was attacked twice. Fails. So he was frightened the first time, he didn't really have to make the second roll. But it means that he will be frightened for the rest of this turn and stunned. Right, so third action then from there, we're gonna upgrade both dice. So it'll be 2 oranges and a blue from spellcasting. And then once again, it's gonna be green, blue for the resist, for the Kip Leak. Green, blue. So double block, and then it's 1, 2, and then a switch is 3 damage. So it'll take 1 more and go to 4. It's near all done. So we're on to Ludvine, it looks like. Nair's going to advance. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, the event will be the same. Boss for the beginning of Dark Souls, where you're like instantly in a boss battle and realizing the game hates you immediately. And then you're not hurting this thing. So Ludvine, like you don't want to get close, but you don't really have a choice. So I think you're going to move. So you have your 3 movement actions because you're not within 2, and you just got to get in the thick of it. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3. Oh no, wait, there's a corpse marker here, wasn't there? 1, 2. You can just interact with this thing. Do you want to interact with the corpse marker? Yes, I do. Dialogue. The beggar's body's been left bloody and broken, but you notice something. Oh, Jesus is still out. Shining beneath his torn, ragged shirt, it's a pendant, and at first glance, you feel that it's no ordinary trinket. The moment your hands touch it, you feel somehow better. The oval stone set within the pendant's center casts a timid glow like that of a faraway star. It fills you with a feeling of tranquility. Perhaps the alchemist or blacksmith might know something more about this strange pendant. Instructions, you obtain the Hadip necklace. Remove the corpse marker. Is the enemy Kip Leak on scenario? Yes, it is. Okay, well, that's that's still happening. Got 2 movement remaining, so I'll go 1, 2, and I'll do a Holy Bash. My aura is pretty good for where I need it to be. So I think I'm going to go... to this one because I want to remove Frightened off of him. So I'm going to go to here. This would upgrade my perception rolls if I wanted to, but I'm just going to make an attack with it. So it's going to be my mace, which is 2 yellow, and a armor, which is black. Nothing upgraded here. So 2 triggers, a hit and a block. Fence is going to be black-green. So I'll just roll another pool here. So double block and a switch, which doesn't do anything in defense. So I have my smite. I could inflict an extra damage. Actually, it's not even a hit. It just does a damage. Yeah, it doesn't actually add to my hit. I've been doing that wrong. It adds a blood of damage. It just automatically does a point of damage to him. And then if I had a hollow switch, which I don't, it would add a damage to my roll and heal 1 of my aura, which I don't have. So I do 1 point of actual damage, which gets blocked. And my switches trigger that and do a point of damage. Second action will go again. And now our dice are upgraded, so I get a black, orange, yellow, as opposed to 2 yellow. I think I rolled the wrong dice there. I think I rolled an extra black there. I should have had an extra yellow. Did nothing, did the same thing. So it was the upgraded yellow. Oh no, actually it would upgrade my lowest dice. It wouldn't upgrade my yellow, I don't think. I think it would upgrade my black to a blue. So I think it would actually be double yellow, blue, because that's technically... Oh no, they're both technically the lowest. Never mind. I can pick 1 of my lowest dice. Yeah. So I could do the black yellow because I want to get extra damage here. And I get a damage and then 5 switches, but I can only use 2 of them to do an extra automatic point of damage. What does it do back? It blocks the 1 point of damage that I would have done. And last action, we're going to remove a state, and we're going to remove Frightened. No thanks. She sheds encouragement, using dice here, and then she swings 1 more time. and it tries to block, and it blocks twice. It'll block that 1 damage, but I get the hollow and the regular. I'm gonna do both. Inflict 3 damage to your target, so that's 2 damage to your target and gain a stain, which I'll do. And then inflict 1 damage to your target as the second trigger, because it's 2 separate sets. It's a hollow. Oh no, I don't have it. I only do the 2 damage, actually. I only do the 2 damage because I can't do the second trigger because I need 2 to do it. But I do a damage that gets blocked. Most importantly, Zoka's no longer frightened. So 4 advances here. Go 1, 2, 3, 4. Then Zoka goes stunned but no longer frightened. This is an important distinction. So stunned I can get rid of. I remove a success from my attack rolls, but I mostly trigger off my switches anyway for damage. Taunt this sucker, it'll downgrade his attack rolls. So we're gonna taunt this guy and tell him he's not so big. Then we are going to take a smash. So it's going to be my armor, which is blue plus blue orange. But I have to downgrade a dice for being stunned. No, I remove a success for being stunned. It's not so big a deal. And it's against black and green. So Zoka's roll is going to be a damage, 2 switches, and a block versus a hollow block and 2 blocks, so just 2 blocks. So I remove that damage, so that's gone. And then I get a switch and a block, which is add 2 damage, and then remove a block, which is fine. So I do nothing, though, because it still blocks 2. Try again. What do we want to do here? A normal hit displays at the end of this. I'm just going to keep going through. So taunt won't do anything again, but we'll attack him one more time. See what he gets. Damage and a hit, and then how many blocks. So I discard this damage. That was still a block. I do 2 for my switch, and then it blocks 1, which means I do 1 damage to him. So 3 and 1, because I do 1 damage to him overall there. The switch creates 2. I discard 1 for the hit, and it got 1 block overall. Last one. I think I've displaced right away, actually, so I don't want to do that, but I do need to displace. And I can't swing outside of 1-1. Punch him. Just punch him, it'll be fine. And we'll just do that. We'll do a regular punch. So again, blue, blue, and orange for my hit. Whoa, we did damage. That gets discarded, but we get a switch and a hit, which will do 2. And then how much does it block? It blocks 1, which is another 1 point of damage. So we're at 8 total. So it's a 3 and a 5. He gets to make a strength test to get rid of stunned. And his strength is, of course, triple orange, and also his preferred stat, so he counts hollows. 1, 2, and we succeed. Success, we remove the stun state, so it's gone. Got to about half health. Zoka advances his 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's new round, so everybody goes to round 5. And we flip all our tokens. Unfortunately, I just built a wall in front of... what's his name, in front of Derek, which is bad, and this event's gonna go off soon. So we go to 4, 5, we're on to 6 as we go. But Derek gets to go. He removes these, he flips his card, he's still outside of 2. He generates his 4 movement points. So he's gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he's gonna run 1, 2. So that's his first action. Oh, I guess I could just displace 1 to there, and then this corner could see that corner, so we'd be able to shoot him. Might as well, he's already targeted, and we get to upgrade our dice from Ambusher, because we were far enough away, which means we get at least our double switches will give us an additional damage. So it's going to be orange this, plus the black for his armor, and we do, those are both hollow unfortunately, so they don't trigger, but we could reroll 1, and get it, so there's double switch, so it's 2 damage total. And it blocks green block and blocks 1, so it takes 1 more damage. I'm gonna go here and do it again because eventually I want to upgrade a die. Shoot him again, so exact same roll because we're still upgraded. So that's, might as well reroll this one. Nope, it's just double hollow, which unfortunately don't do anything. 1 damage there, and it blocks 3, so it laughs at me. And now we get to go with our final action and upgrade a die, which means we get 2 oranges instead of a yellow. We upgrade 2 of our dice. And we get to reroll this one, I guess. There we go. So that's 3 damage total, and it blocks 2, so it takes 1 more. All right, so Derek advances his 3, so it's 1, 2, 3. So he's gonna get to go before the event, which is kind of nice. What the Kipleak goes, it's gonna attack the highest value person. So now it's not gonna attack Neyra because they've only got 3 vitality left, whereas Zoka's got 6 and Ludvine's got 4. So got 4 and Ludvine's got 4, or Ludovine's got 4. because he's injured and she's not. So what happens next, it's whoever's furthest on the initiative track. So it's going to be Zoka again. It's further away than Ludovine is. And that means the same attacks. So it's going to be plus a bunch. It's going to be black defense dice plus double red against Zoka's got blue, black as his defense roll. So defense roll blocks 1. And it gets +2 to this, so that's going to be 5. Stunned, but he's already stunned. Oh no, he's not stunned. He gets stunned again. Luckily, your switches here, Zoka, add an additional thing, and you count hollow shields. We didn't get any hollow shields. So 2 switches, which you got, means you get 2 blocks total. So you get to cancel that. So you get 3, and you're not quite unconscious, but you have 1 health left. I forgot you need to downgrade a die, because you're taunted. So we'll keep the defense roll and we'll roll this again. So it should have been red, orange. That's not so bad. So it's 3. So he's going to take 1 instead, actually, and go to 3. Still stunned from the switch. Whew, that was a big difference all of a sudden. That was a very big difference. But then he attacks him again. So same roll. That's going to be 4 to... He doesn't get his switch off. So 4 to 1. Block, which makes him take 3 more, and he's unconscious. So he gets knocked down. Damn. Going again. 1, 2, 3, 4, because you advance further this time, and it's over to Ludovine. Ludovine's first action, take all these off. She's going to attempt, I think, to wake up the dwarf. So, recover on a character that's unconscious. This character allows your character to revive another character's unconscious. You must be adjacent to the knockdown character. Upon returning to their feet, the player retrieves the character must flip over their initiative token and draw a card from the consequences deck. So he won't get to activate this turn. Now the consequences deck isn't used in the demo, but I assume it's like an injury deck. So he's going to come back up. I'm assuming the consequences deck would tell me how much health I have left, but I don't actually know. What I'm going to do is Mercy of Celis. During your activation, rotate this card, remove a damage from a character within your aura, and place up to 4 on this card. You may place up to 4. You gain 1 stain during your activation to remove all the tokens on this card. So I'm just going to rotate that card and take a damage off. So he's got 5 left, and I can unrotate that to take the damage back. Then I'm going to make some attacks. So we're going to upgrade a die. Can't activate this turn now, though, because he got knocked down. And we'll smite you with our mace. So it's going to be yellow, yellow. It's upgraded because of the panel that I chose. And my switches are good. Pure damage when this happens. So it's going to be green plus black for the Kipleek. And then she will have black, orange, yellow. And she gets 1 plus a bunch of switches. So our switches are going to do 3 unblockable damage. It's just blood. And I gain a stain from the second one, though. So I got 2. She's channeling a lot of evil here, but she'll just do 3 unblockable blood damage. Take it to 13. It's got 2 left. Blocked 1, and then she did 1, so those cancel each other out. But the hollow switches and the double switches off of her purifying smite do all the damage, because just inflict 2 blood, and gain a stain. 2 hollows, I would also use my mace trigger to heal up the dwarf. She's going to try one more time. She will drop it on... I guess just a normal thing. Oh no, I'll drop this to remove stunned. Not that it's really going to do anything, but it does it anyway. And a whole bunch of triggers. It blocks nothing, and we do inflict a damage, and then inflict 2 and gain a stain. Or I could heal 1. So I can inflict 1 damage, it would still be alive, but then it would go next. Is the problem. And the event would go off. I kind of want to see what the event is, though. So I'm tempted to have that happen. You could just kill it and gain an extra stain. I'm just going to kill it and gain an extra stain. What am I doing here? Click the event anyway and see what would have happened. So we do 2 unblockable hit to it. We're at 3 stain now. We've just absorbed all the chaos energy. But because it's just instant damage and not hits, that takes it to 15. And it is removed. She strikes the Kipleek's killing blow. Takes it off the table, which ends the combat. Got barely alive. And we would have gone right next to the event. So let's just click on it and see what it was. And then we'll kill somebody. This event must be active in turn 9. Are you already in this turn? Yes. Your blows have no discernible effect, and now the beast pounds the ground, causing great cracks to open across the cobbled street. The beast's fleshy body twists and turns and suddenly leaps high into the air, perching nimbly on a nearby rooftop. Its blood-dripping tendrils shoot towards you, catching your ankles and yanking you to the floor. For a moment you fear you will share the poor beggar's fate, yet the creature freezes, its breathing becoming heavier. Its eyeless head looks up, as if listening for something. The tendrils release you and recoil to the monster's hideous form. All you can do is watch as the creature roars, its limbs cracking and disjointing, shrinking to a finger's width. Then, almost formless, the creature slips into an impossibly small crack in the wall, leaving nothing behind but a bloody smear and an unbearable stench of burnt flesh. One by one you stand, not entirely sure of what the thing was or whence it came, let alone why it left so suddenly. Although grateful of having survived the encounter, you're left with even more questions. Remove the kip leak from the scenario. And that's it, lost trace. Your exertions start to take their toll and fatigue wears at you. Maybe you've had enough excitement for one day. It would be wise to return to the brave Parsley and Hawthorne to get some rest and focus your mind. At least you've learned one thing today, bizarre things are happening in Hawthorne Point. Continue. And that's it. End of the demo. So if we killed it, we probably would have just gotten like a it slumps to the ground kind of same thing, go back to the tavern. We got to see the extra little thing where it just disappears and doesn't kill you at the end of the campaign. And that's our demo. So things that are familiar, obviously this dice system, if you've played Aristay or any other Corvus Belli's board games, this opposed face-to-face roll is going to feel pretty familiar. I like it. I think that the very clever thing is the action table here and how they built in your action tree. These additional action cards, obviously I haven't seen how it's going to work, but it looks like that's where your character building is. They all have a point cost, and the rulebook kind of refers to how the point cost allows you to, whatever your level is has to kind of, or the summation of your level allows you a certain number of points of these abilities, and the more of these the add, so the more you tailor your character to play the way you want it to. As like a sniper, like kind of like a hit and run archer here. You can get other items, obviously, and create items back in Hawthorne, and continue to explore. So you get a procedurally generated dungeon. The one thing I will say is this app, although I'm not a huge fan of apps in games, because it if that ever goes away somehow, if the world ends, I can't play the game anymore, if that makes sense. That's a fault point for me. Almost always is when it's digitally reliant. It does remove a ton of clutter from the table, which I like. I hope someday they also print a book to go with this that would allow us to have the campaigns for Luddites in front of us. I also hope obviously there's an iOS version of the app eventually, but this is all, remember, this is all demo beta. Get to show us the rules and the miniatures in really cool point form. But it did create a nice fog of war illusionary thing where I got to watch through. I was happy I played it on the Chromebook instead of my phone. I feel like looking at it on my phone, I would have felt less immersed. Just kind of having it always in front of me was nice on the Chromebook. And I'll probably keep doing it that way when I play through the full adventures and stuff. The models obviously are gorgeous. These are pre-productions, so they're like Siocast. I didn't assemble them myself. I didn't clean them. I'm not supposed to paint them because they're going to go on to somebody else to check out soon. I'm going to forward this copy on. And so you're getting to see them exactly as they showed up to me. But they're obviously gorgeous. They kind of echo a lot of Paul Bonner, Euro medieval style art. There's hints of like confrontation in here, that kind of like beautiful like painterly kind of looking miniatures. They don't look overly World of Warcraft, if that was a thing. I kind of felt like the dwarf was heading in that direction, but now that I see the humans, they have a real like they feel like Corvus Belli miniatures. They feel like they all have a unique identity. They're all from different factions and places. And they're not too cartoony. They're going to be fun to paint. And the monsters have an appropriately Cthulhu sort of like, what was that movie? The Ritual, kind of feel to them. These cultists in the woods that worship ancient gods and things that are from beyond time. And maybe, listen to the sounds of Tindalos. This thing's clearly got some sort of eldritch inspiration in it, which is kind of nice. The art's gorgeous. I mean, and again, this is all pre-production stuff. So this is what's possible with, putting together a copy for people to check out that's a demo copy. I'm excited for the future stuff. There wasn't too much stuff in front of me. I feel like even to play a larger game, it would just be a pile more miniatures and a deck of these cards, because most of like the sort of ancillary stuff is contained in the computer and the app, and I do appreciate that. I'm coming to terms with the fact that I don't like having too much stuff on the table. There is quite a bit of stuff on the table, but I don't think there'll ever be much more than this, right? There'll be decks of cards that I'll put away, but when I've got my characters laid out, it's just what's here. And it looks like the campaign manager is going to store a lot of my information for me, so I don't have to like baggy stuff. I really like this little initiative tracker thing, where you can play with initiative too on the ability cards and stuff is a neat idea. I like that the combat never stops and people could be faster or slower throughout the turn. I like that when it's eating people, the Kip Leaked became like a little bit slower and more focused on like the combat, didn't like stay like zippy fast. So it has like a sort of like a fast initial launch into the fight, but then once it's in combat, it's kind of grinding. It's getting slower and slower and people are catching up to it. I'm interested to see what comes of the stain. In the demo, obviously, it just kind of refers to like, hey, in the future, it's going to be a thing. But I always like the idea of evolving characters. It gives them some personality, and it gives the player some choice into how they develop. Do you accumulate stain to power up your actions and do powerful things? Like, obviously, her Purifying Smite is incredibly powerful, but if she really does it the easy way, the dark side way, she gains a bunch of stain. She can do it the light side way with the double switches and just do 1 damage, or dark side way with 1 hollow switch, but she gets to gain 2 stain. So it does give you a little bit of like that RPG franchise. And I like the differential tempo-wise between the interactions in like the exploration sort of side of it and the combat differentiation. I was a bit fuzzy on the turn sequence on how I was supposed to activate. Like, these are just initiative bands. They're not game rounds, and it's when everyone's activated, I think you start a new game round, but I wasn't super clear on how that was supposed to work. And this is position 9. I don't think it's game round 9, it's initiative step 9. So when the event goes off in combat is not necessarily a game round of 9. I wasn't 100% sure I was checking game round at the right time, but obviously this is a demo and I'm self-taught, so that was a question that I'm sure will be cleared up when the full game comes out. But yeah, there we go. A first look at Warcrow Adventures, a fantasy dungeon crawler from Corvus Belli. Big thanks to them for sending along the stuff for me to check out.
So there you go, a first look at Warcrow Adventures from Corvus Belli, and our first little adventure as we go back to the tavern, basically, after beating up the big weird tentacle beast, and lick our wounds. So obviously, things that were in the demo rules that sort of like have future rules that we'll get to check out, things like how to manage the stain, or the taint, the sort of like evil magic, the darkness that you're accumulating throughout the campaign, creating new items, adding new abilities to like level up and increase and customize your character, and of course further adventures and campaign saving in the app itself that'll allow us to play the game kind of on an ongoing basis. And I'm excited to pick it up and put it down without having to like organize anything. Lots of these dungeon crawler games require you to like sleeve cards all together, keep things organized, know exactly where you're at over the course of a campaign. This one seems like a lot of that's managed. I have to get over my Luddite instincts and enjoy the bonuses of having digital app management in my miniature games. I'm sure tons of people will swear by them. Tell me in the comments what you think about it, because obviously it's a change for me. I write everything down. I like my notebooks. All my rules writing starts off as scribbles. But I really enjoyed the miniatures. I like the procedural layout. I like the fact that I felt like a story was being told to me and I was uncovering it as I go. And I feel like at the end there, where I clicked on what would happen if we hit turn 9 and I hadn't killed the beast, there was multiple ways it could go. It could get away, it could not get away, accumulating the plot points. And the rumors would allow me to use that as currency later on when I return to Hawthorne to find out more stuff or talk to informants or sort of proceed to learn more about the story of the place and uncover more information. So I'm excited to see where that goes. There's just kind of Easter eggs and tidbits of it thrown in right now in the demo for us to check out, but there's obviously promise of more to come. And that's it. So big thanks to Corvus Belli for sending it along, Carlos and Blend for sending it along, and let me check out this early draft of it that I got to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed that too. We'll see you for more first looks in the future. It's on a MASH. Have a good night. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching. It really does help out, and happy gaming.